All right, so why should you start with subcontractors when you're first starting out? So the reason is pretty simple. One, they make your life easier, right? So when you're first starting out, you're answering all the phone calls, the emails, you're going out to estimates, you're doing the actual jobs, you're ordering the materials, like you're wearing like 12 different hats, right? And like when you go to hire an employee, which makes sense, like it's like, all right, let me hire someone so that way they can do this, and now I'm only working like, wearing 7 hats instead of 12. It doesn't really work that way, because if you started with 12 hats, now you hired an employee, well now you're wearing like an extra hat or two because you have to train the employee. Not only that, but now you have to basically pay to get them started, right? So you need the truck, the trailer, and the equipment, depending on like what kind of business you're in. And then also, what you think your costs are and what they actually are two different things, right? Because if you're paying them just say $20 an hour, well, you can't forget the payroll taxes, workman's comp, all that kind of stuff, which is adding typically another 40%. So instead of paying $20 an hour, now you're paying $28 an hour, okay? On top of that, you aren't there with them. Like, so you're not even there babysitting because you got all the other shit to do. So you have someone that's new that you just trained, and now they are on their own and they have all your truck, your trailer equipment. Like, it's kind of like a recipe for a disaster, honestly, if you don't find the right person, which it's not that easy to find the right person. I typically find I have to hire 3 and 5 people in order to find one decent person. Okay? So instead, if you go with subcontractors, number one, they're trained. Number two, there's no upfront costs. They have the truck, the trailer, the equipment, the insurance, right? Make sure they have the insurance. Now, if they have that, and then, so there's that. The other part of the puzzle is that you're not married to that person anymore, okay? So what I mean by that is when you have an employee, you're married to them. So if you get divorced, like you fire them because they suck, they steal, they don't show up, whatever it may be, now you're paying unemployment. So your costs are constantly going even though they aren't with you anymore, right? So with the subcontractor, it's not like that. It's like basically you both are on the hook. It's kind of like you're both in the dating phase. If you don't do what you're supposed to, if you don't communicate, you don't pay when you're supposed to and everything else, well, they're easily just going to work for another company, okay? Now, if they don't do what they're supposed to do, you do the same thing. So where can you find subcontractors? I personally find them on Facebook all the time. I post job listing, for my fence company and say, hey, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm paying, and magically they just show up. Now, the thing that really helps me is that I know what typically subs are being paid in my area, and I just pay more. Why? Because the good ones are already taken. You have to get a reason for them to come to you. Have a good one.